Hello, everybody. Hope you can see me. I was having a horrible time, and hear me, of course. I was having a horrible time working on my green screen settings, and I still look terrible. And I have a nice little black hole that appears because of my glasses. And I spent the last 45 minutes trying to fix it, and man, did nothing happen. Just didn't work. I just messed up my settings, and now I can't get them back to the way that they were. And now I get this nice little black hole that you guys can enjoy if I move my head this way. So yes, welcome everyone to Werewolf the Apocalypse Heart of the Forest. Before we begin this, I want to thank Different Tales so much for giving me a copy of the game in advance. I could have played it already and made a review about it, but I wanted to save it and make it live. Hopefully everyone can hear me as well, if I didn't already say that. And yes, I wanted to play it live, and I'm so excited for it. You should know if you're on my channel that I'm a World of Darkness YouTuber. I make Werewolf the Apocalypse lore videos. I make Vampire the Masquerade lore videos, and Changeling and Wraith and Mage, and more World of Darkness games and more World of Darkness games with more eyes on it, and more books, more games, more increasing the fan base is like really my heart's dream, my heart's desire. That's all that I want because I love the World of Darkness so very, very much. I think it's just the absolute best. But we are going to begin because I'm ready to begin. Okay, and of course this is to make our games better and for marketing purposes. We would like to collect your data. Sure, you can have my data. Nothing special going on with my data. Oh boy. Werewolf the Apocalypse, Heart of the Forest. Now, I did already play the demo before. I'm probably going to turn down the volume a little bit, just because I feel like I'll need to. Which I did make a review on the demo already, but I'm ready to play the actual game. I'm actually going to turn my phone down a little bit as well. Prologue, Premonition, start the chapter. So I assume this is going to be very similar to the demo, which, like I said, I played and made a review on. I don't know why I'm repeating myself so much. All right, so I'm starting off with 3 health, 2 willpower, and no rage. We need some rage. Tutorial. This is a game about rage and how it helps us do things that need to be done, as well as things that we later regret. Sometimes both. How do you feel about that? Well, I prefer to think before I act, which is true. Your rage is low. So you're the observant and cunning type. That's okay. There's no right path here. Just your decisions and their consequences. Consequences, schmonsequences. I'm smarter than that. Ooh, 1 cunning. I probably could have gotten 2 if I picked the other one. The woods are full of stars. They flicker, come closer, run away. They want me to chase them, to play hide and seek. I hide. Ooh, another cunning. They dance around the tree trunks, float up on the gusts of wind that shiver through the branches, disappear among the leaves. I hide, but they bunch up and follow toward me like an arrow. Rushing down, they're soon upon me, but just before the spear of light pierces my breast, they disappear and the dark of the night returns. In the darkness, the spirits keeping the forest alive whisper about the enemy. I begin to move, unnoticed, one with the night, and then I wake up. Confused, I open my eyes. The forest around me is thick, dark, and reeks of decay to such an extent that it's hard to breathe. The smell fascinates me. The smell, both fascinating and repulsive, is everywhere. A memory stirs deep in my mind, something elusive from my earliest childhood. The tree trunks, wrapped tightly in dark-leaved ivy, are covered in ripples of lichen where the vines haven't taken hold. The thorny, leafless bushes at their base are overrun with nettles. The fungi radiate with a ghoulish, sickly green light. Dark, sponge-like mushrooms cling to the fallen trees. Something is rotten. I can't shake the feeling that something died nearby. I look down and see my hands covered in a dark substance. I'm naked. A sticky, glistening film of liquid is clinging to my skin. I can feel it on my face, in my hair. blood. I hide. Ooh, look how cunning I'm gonna be. I crouch down and plant my palms on the soil, my eyes darting back and forth. I feel like I'm being watched. There is a severed head right in front of me. Some choices are hard to make, and they will strain your willpower, right? Still have to turn that down a little bit. It's still too loud for me. I wince and touch it. What is that? That takes away a willpower? I think I'll do that. Overcoming my disgust, I gently touch its wet hair and watch as the head topples over. The face is contorted, the eyes bulging, the mouth open as though the head were still struggling for air. I look at it and start to laugh. And then eyes open in the darkness. The enemy. I don't know. I can see their silhouettes, shades of jet black against the darkness. They reek of metal and acid and oil and money. Massive creatures, some with mandibles, some with spidery legs. Their faceted eyes burn like small industrial furnaces. I look at them and something wakes inside my chest. Panic. I get up and start to run. I catch my foot on a gnarled root and fall over. The brambles reach out for me, wrapping their thorny limbs around my legs. I struggle and fall face first into the ground. Moss covers my lips and pushes itself into my open mouth, choking me. In a moment of clarity, I almost understand what the forest wants from me. And then I wake up. And so Maia is a Hamid as well, which I don't know if I remembered that actually from playing the demo, which basically means she was born as a human as opposed to being born as a wolf, which is lupus. Maia Borodich. Dreams. Maia, 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 wake up. I opened my eyes. My neck was stiff. I stretched lazily as I assessed where I was out of the corner of my eye. I wasn't in the forest anymore. I was in a bus. The sun streaming through the windows was making it hard to see. The girl next to me was touching my shoulder, disturbed. I comforted her. Anya, friendly. It's all right. I squeezed her hand to comfort her. She looked at me concerned. You had a bad dream. The memory of the wet earth clogging my mouth was still there. I fought the urge to retch. I looked outside. The trees were pushing up against the narrow road, their boughs tangled, their trunks carpeted with moss. It was the forest from my dreams. We're almost there, said the girl next to me. Her name was Anya. We'd met a couple of weeks earlier on the orientation day. She was from Norway. I can't do a Norwegian accent. I don't even know what one sounds like. A tall, broad-shouldered, calm person who wore her hair in braids. Somehow, I'd managed to talk her into this crazy field trip across the land of my ancestors. She seemed excited. Anya reached into her backpack and took out 2 apples. I'm really happy we decided to come here, she said. Yeah, I said, offering her some of my kabanosy, dried meaty sausages that were so much better than the original Polish ones back in the U.S. I was glad Anya had decided to come with me. I had problems keeping friends around and really needed one. I did some searching, she said from over her phone, and this place is amazing. The last primordial forest in Europe. I don't know if it's the last. I think I did some research and it was one of the last, but not the last. But I'm not sure about that. I can't remember because even though I played the demo 2 months ago, I've forgotten a lot. This trip was my idea. Our summer language course was starting in a few weeks, and I managed to talk Anya into skipping... And I managed to talk Anya into skipping the tours of concentration camps and old churches and visiting... I can't say the forest right. That I can't do. I just can't say it correctly. So I'm going to say it the best that I can. If you want to hear... There should be a Twitter video or somewhere on social media of Outstar saying it correctly, but I'm just going to say it the way I can say it because I can't say it that right way. The Białowieża National Park with me instead. That's not right. So far it's beautiful, she said, her eyes smiling. But why are we here again? Good question. Why were we there? There being Białowieża, a small village in northeast Poland near the border with Belarus. It was famous for its national park, the very last European bison, and according to a quick web search, occasional tensions between far-right troublemakers and the local Belarusian community. Hi, Vampire Monster. The most honest answer would have been, because I've been dreaming about the forest in Białowieża since I can remember. It's something like Białowieża, but that's also not right. But people didn't understand when I said things like that. I looked her in the eyes. Ooh, that would toss me some willpower. I kept it simple so I wouldn't freak her out. Family, it's complicated. I'm looking for my roots. I kept it simple so I wouldn't freak her out. What I didn't tell her was even more important. I knew my family was from there. None of my relatives spoke about it, though. There were a lot of things that weren't spoken about in my life. Strange dreams that plagued me. Half-forgotten tales about forests and wolves that I'd heard before my mom took me, ran away, and cut off all contact with my dad and his family. I waited for her to respond. I don't know if it's because her dad was a werewolf or if she's just kinfolk. I'm not sure. Anya fell silent for a moment. I think it's great that you come from such a magical place, she said. The last ancient forest in Europe, thousands of years old. I wasn't sure if I was fond of that magic, but it was hard to ignore. And that was precisely why I needed to do something, anything, about my future. That damned forest and my weird-ass family. I had a clear goal in mind. Give me 1 second, guys. I feel like my thingies aren't adjusted correctly. Yeah, it's not. I'm sort of disappearing into the screen a little bit. I'm not sure how to fix. Like I said, I was having such an issue with fixing my chroma key today because it just wasn't working correctly, and I don't know if I can fix it, but it does sort of look like I'm disappearing. Maybe if I move myself to the other side? Oh, that's even worse. That's even worse. Holy crap. Okay. God. How ridiculous I look. Yeah. I'm not really sure how I'm going to fix that, to be perfectly honest. Like, it's sort of better. That's sort of better. Not really. And then sort of move myself around. Isn't this exciting, watching me fix all of my settings? I was having such a problem today. I can't even describe it. And I think the top of my screen's blurring into the thing a little bit. Oh well. It is what it is. I can't mess with it anymore. I'll literally lose my mind. Oh. And that was precisely why I needed to do something. Anything about my future. I read that already. I wasn't there by mistake. I'd planned this trip for months with a clear goal in mind. Had to face the forest. Goal, mystery, learn about the forest. All right. I wasn't there by mistake. I'd planned this trip for months with a clear goal in mind. My dreams, my grandfather's stories, the fact my family was from there were just too many coincidences. The forest wanted something from me, and it was time to find out what. But honestly, I had no idea what to expect. Welcome home, question mark. Białowieża looked like an overexposed photo of a village with the contrast turned all the way up. It was a hot, sleepy day on a hot, sleepy street, and everything, the old trees, the yellowed grass, the weathered wooden houses, the fences seemed almost normal. Everything except the shadows. They were sharp, as though they were freshly printed with the darkest of inks, and they moved. For a second, I could have sworn they'd moved, but then I realized it was just a black cat walking down the sidewalk. When it saw me, it stopped in its tracks. I tried to pet it. Why not? Here, kitty kitty, I said, squatting and reaching toward the cat. It rammed me affectionately with its head and started rubbing against my legs, totally ignoring the outstretched hand. Hey, Maia, Anya said, looking at me surprised. Didn't you say your friend would be waiting for us? But he wasn't there, and the cat was still staring at me. Let's go. Anya put on her backpack. I'm tired, and I really need to find a toilet. For a moment, I was tempted to just get out of the sun and worry about my missing friend later. But the meeting was just too important. That's what I'll say. Let's just wait a little longer, I said. I don't have his number, and we really need to meet up with him. His name was Bartek. I'd met him online while researching Bialowice. The man knew everything there was to know about local history. I asked him to look around for local stories about the forest. I hope he's found something. I really need to pee. Anya said it like I was 5 years old, and like I was a 5-year-old, and not a very bright one. God, I can't talk. Let's cave and gain a little extra rage here. Okay, let's go. I grabbed my backpack and stormed off, angry at Bartek, Anya's tiny bladder, and the creepy cat. Well, we like the cat. The cat rubbed on us. Why is the cat creepy? If you hover your mouse over the green text, it will show you how to pronounce the town name. Oh, really? Oh God. Białowice. Białowice. That is way too hard for me to say it right. Thank you, Laura the Apocalypse, or the Turing, whichever you prefer. Białowice. I can't. Białowice had a few hotels and hostels, but the preferred form of accommodation was bed and breakfast. That's where we stayed. Hello, Hunty. I love your name. We had a room on the second floor with a huge window and a great view of the forest. We dropped off our stuff and freshened up a bit. Maybe we should have waited for your friend, Anya asked, concerned. I shrugged. I'll find him, sooner or later. Before you go, check out your character sheet. Look for it in the upper right. I remember this. And we can look at it. Okay, so that's our name. We're 24. We're a student. We're American. We are really cunning, which is nice. We're not that brave or inspiring. We're healthy, which is good. We want to understand the forest, and we need to pursue that particular goal to regain willpower. We're friends with Anya, and our family relations is complicated. Białowice was a quaint tourist town, but I had other things in mind. It doesn't help, but it's there. It's exactly how I feel about it. The lay of the land. I had a clear goal in mind. The forest was calling me, and I was ready to answer the call. Ooh, the town. But no, we want to go to the forest because we only have 1 willpower. We want to regain some of that. Plus, I really liked the forest before. Oh, I got an achievement. Hiker. Into the woods. It was dark in the woods. Dark, humid, and chilly. The leaves didn't let through a lot of sunlight. Okay, so Daniel's all of a sudden here. We didn't get introduced to him yet. Daniel looked at Anya and me over his shoulder. How do you like her? We'd met maybe 20 minutes earlier. Anya had Googled local guides, and he was apparently the best person to go to if you wanted to see the forest. So I found him, and now here we were. He was a strange one. Daniel neutral. Daniel was a strange guy, slender but muscular, not the CrossFit type. It was more the kind of strength you get from working all day long in the open. His skin was weather-beaten and bronzed by the sun, like tanned leather, but he moved in a very deliberate way. But his fingers were slim and delicate, and his eyes were the strangest shade of yellow-green. So, he repeated, how do you like her? I wasn't sure whom he meant. He means the woods. What else on earth would he mean? Hunty is short for my original username, less of a mouthful. I love it. I love the username Hunty. It's perfect. Do you mean the forest? I asked. Polish was a strange language that gave the most unexpected genders to objects and ideas. I feel the exact same way about German. Does it not tell me how to say the pushta, or however you say this? Pushcha? Pushcha? I mean pushcha, he gestured around us. The word sounded like the wind rustling in the leaves. Pushcha. Pushcha is the right word, not forest. Forests are like fields or orchards, cultivated. He spat as he said it. And pushcha, she is older than even the concepts of fields. He was using the word as though it was a name. Stood there and watched the forest. I looked around with fresh eyes. Ooh, I got a special thing because I'm cunning. I felt as though I'd entered the belly of a gargantuan beast. The trees stretched toward the sky like giant ribs, and the whole canopy moved like a breast rising and falling. In the twilight, the wet, meaty mushrooms screamed with colors. Yellow, scarlet, purple, looked like internal organs. The vines growing on the corpses of the fallen trees looked like arteries. The breath of the beast was wet and smelled of decay. It hadn't noticed that I was there yet. I laughed at the absurdity of the thought. There was something unsettling about it all. It's unsettling, I admitted. He smiled and nodded. It is. You're smart. Then I remembered why I was there. I told him that I dreamed about the forest. There's a special reason I'm interested in the forest, I admitted. I'm not from here, I continued, but I think something secret connects me to this place. I dream about the forest a lot. Daniel stopped abruptly and turned to me, watching me for a while. His nostrils flared as though he were tasting the air. Daniel is neutral. Maybe. You seem familiar, he tilted his head. Your forefathers did something many winters past, and Pushcha still remembers. Come on, he started walking. I know exactly what you need to see. That piqued my interest. Yeah, let's get another willpower back. We're gonna need it. Progressed goal. Nice. So I was right. There was something hidden in my family's past, and it seemed to have a lot to do with the forest. Every time you learn or do something significant that brings you closer to your goal, you regain willpower. With every step, I was getting closer to solving the mystery, so I followed him. All right, at the crossroads. We have to choose a path, he said. There's the old wolf den, or I could show you the barrows first, or a clearing that some folks call a place of power. Let's go to the wolf's den. That sounds like fun. Just one small thing. We started walking, but after a few steps, he stopped abruptly like he'd remembered something. Then he turned to me. Could you do me a favor, please? He asked. It depended. I don't know, I said slowly. Why don't you tell me what you want first? He ran his hand through the moss on a dead tree trunk, smelled his fingers, then reached into his pocket. He took out a small stone. Something personal? Inspiring. It looked like one of those stones you treasure as a child and then grow out of. But he looked at the pebble as though it were still a treasure. The game tracks your decisions on how Maia approaches problems. They will accumulate and gradually reveal what kind of person she is deep in her heart. The story changes to reflect Maia's personality. I would like you to take this stone. He held out his open hand toward me. And throw it the direction you think we should go. Is that a good idea? What? Why? I wasn't convinced. It's something I need. Can you do it, please? He was intense. Sure. Let's do that. Sure, I caved. I took the stone and closed my hand around it. Be careful, whispered Anya. I was curious. What does he want to do with the stone? It was warm, and I felt grounded when I squeezed it. I closed my eyes and thought about the wolf den, trying to imagine that place. I thought about old wolf tracks and the bones of their prey. Balanced. I threw the stone. I'm balanced. I felt my hand rising entirely on its own and then throwing the stone as far as I could. When I opened my eyes, Daniel was picking it up off the ground. Okay, he said, let's go. Okay. Aw, sympathetic, prodigal daughter. Achievement unlocked. Aw, the forest likes me. The forest picks me. Let's. I played it cool. He gave me a faint smile before he turned to head deeper into the forest. The old den. I remember this part, actually. The first thing I noticed when we stopped was a pine tree. A pine tree I knew. I remembered it, small, twisted, and crooked, growing on the side of the hill, fighting for light and balance. Robbed of level ground, it had to make do, to adapt. Months before that, when I decided to come to Poland, I dreamed of that tree. I was sure of it, just like I was sure that under its roots I'd find a burrow, and a few feet away, another one, like two dark eyes gazing at me as I approached. Daniel passed me and approached the tree. He pressed his cheek against the trunk. Hello, he said quietly. Was there someone else there? Hello? I repeated just in case, but it seemed like we were the only people there. This is the den, announced Daniel. It's abandoned, of course, but still worth seeing. Why was it abandoned? It doesn't look very impressive. You can make Maia a real jerk, apparently. What happened? I asked. Humans happened, Daniel sighed. He sat under the tree, leaning his back against it. It was a hot spring morning when they found this den. No one knows who the men were, even though it was only one human generation ago. That's a weird way to put it. There were 6 cubs here under the root of this tree. He'd stopped stuttering and seemed to enjoy telling the story. I enjoyed listening. There was something calming in his voice and the way he talked. His slow gestures and wistful eyes made me feel as though I was with the cubs on that hot spring morning. I don't think they wanted to hurt the wolves, he continued. They probably thought they'd been abandoned. That's why they took the cubs with them. Humans have this instinct that makes you try to befriend everything, especially if it's dangerous. Not befriend, enslave. Yeah, let's get our full rage going. That sounds like fun. Woo! Full rage. You mean enslave, I answered sharply, pulling something from the world and forcing it to work from us. I hated it, but it was how it seemed to be. I'm not saying it always works out, but the intention is good, and I believe the men who kidnapped the wolves wanted to do something kind, he continued. Anyway, they took them. Out of the 6, 2 lived to see the cold summer that year. The wolf mother used to come to the farm they were at and howl. People went gray if they heard her. I knew that howl. And suddenly I heard that howl. I knew exactly how it sounded, and I felt despair and longing gnawing at my soul. I remembered how the cubs had reacted. Ooh, I'm brave. Every time she came, we threw ourselves at the door, biting, trying to break free, to escape. Maia, are you okay? Anya asked, putting her hand on my shoulder. I felt for the cubs. Yeah. I just feel for the cubs. I know a little about divided families myself. Oh. Yeah, that usually ended the conversation. Daniel sighed, looking at the tree and the burrow. The cubs that survived were sold to some people in... How do we say this word? Kenufka? Kenufka. Okay. But after a while, both of them ended back in Białowieża with the scientists. They have a station in the national park. One of the wolves, Kazan, was a celebrity of sorts. If you saw any wolf photos from here, they were probably of Kazan. He was even on postcards. They shouldn't have moved the cubs. Daniel, cautious. Ooh, dear. The men should have left the cubs where they belonged, I said, exasperated. Why did they interfere? They wanted to be kind, Daniel repeated. You can't condemn kindness. There was a slight gust of wind, and the tree creaked. I remembered that sound from my dreams as well, a sound that made me feel safe. How often had he shared that story? Do you bring people here often? Daniel smiled. If I think they'll understand, I do. We fell silent. Obviously, I didn't understand. Obviously, I was too angry to understand. Words are very hard. I have trouble, especially foreign words. So, in the wild or a zoo? In the forest. In the forest. He looked at the burrows for a long time. This place is my friend, so I try to keep it important and respected. I think it's my mission, you know? I could relate to that. I think I understand. The forest had a way of sending people on missions. Daniel looked at the tree one last time. Goodbye, he said. I also say goodbye. Oh, yeah, the forest loves me. Goodbye, I repeated, and we left. Okay. The forest was alive around us, vigilant but not alarmed by our presence. I kept thinking about the stolen cubs. Let's go to the graves and the barrows. The dead hills. The trail soon disappeared. Sometimes we walked along a barely visible path made by some animals. Sometimes we followed a stream or a gully, but for the most of our trek, we walked through the dense undergrowth. I was getting impatient. The sun was barely noticeable through the dense canopy. I had no idea which direction we were going, and I was starting to doubt if Daniel did. It was a pleasant walk. Oh, the forest likes me! It was a pleasant walk. There was always a path through the brambles, the ground was even, and the branches stayed out of our way. I almost felt like the forest wanted us to find the way. Daniel was a mystery I decided to solve. I watched the efficient and deliberate way Daniel moved, and I tried to guess his background. Why had he become a guide? I asked a few obvious questions. Why not? Where are you from? I asked the obvious question. Hiccup. From around here. He made a vague gesture. Are you a professional guide? That's what I do for a living. He wasn't very talkative. Leave him be, whispered Anya. Then it hit me. What? What hit me? I'll lose a willpower for it. What is it? Ooh, I'm analytical. Suddenly it all came together, and I realized what was so unusual about him. The way he moved. It was so natural, so effortless. No one who'd spent their childhood sitting all day at school or in front of a screen could move that way. Who are you, Daniel? I asked, bewildered. Were you raised by wolves or what? It might have been. Might be lupus. He looked me straight in the eyes, his irises a mesmerizing yellow-green. Yes, I was, he said with a poker face. Then he winked. Anya smiled uneasily. We continued in silence. I wonder if we were friendlier with him, he would have told us more. That's why Gnosis should have been a stat. Is it not? I guess it's not. Yeah, I guess it would be up here with rage and willpower and health. It's interesting. We'd been walking for a while when I noticed that Daniel's steps had become slower. He was also looking around more often and had hunched slightly. Was it the barrows? Are we there yet? I asked. He froze for a second, as though he'd forgotten that I was there. They're tricky to find sometimes, he mumbled. Be quiet for a minute, please. That was when I felt it. Ash in my mouth, the smell of smoke and wet soil, and a pull. I don't want to hush him. I knew where to go. I think I know where to go, I said, surprised. He tilted his head. Okay, let's check it out. I pointed to the barely visible path to my left under a dying tree. He followed me, and I followed my feet, knowing exactly where they should go. Under the crooked tree, past the dead tree trunk and the sponge-like mushrooms, across the patch of wet, dark green moss, all the way to a place that didn't look much different than other parts of the forest, until you noticed the mounds. There was something about the flattened hills that drew my full attention. They must have been bigger in the past. I could imagine them vividly when they were built, the tall, proud barrows, the dead decomposing underground, returning to the earth, feeding all the new life that was growing from them. The trees around us were the fingers of the dead sticking out of the ground. And then it happened. It was a feeling anchored in my chest, akin to the taste of ash in my mouth and the smell of smoke. Longing, sadness, resignation. But there was more. A sense of sacredness. It filled me with a calm excitement, and when I closed my eyes, I saw a fire burning in the darkness. The village was burning, and people were fighting, illuminated by the flaming buildings. I walked among them unseen, whispering in their ears. They listened and fought even more fiercely, some in ancient Roman armor, some in rags, some in animal skins, some in uniforms from the world wars, some in modern camo. "Are you the enemy?" they shouted at one another, confused. "Death to the enemy!" Their anger blinded them. Blinded by anger, they never noticed their real enemy, even when I was whispering in their ears. When I opened my eyes, Daniel was watching me. "You were somewhere else," he said. "You had family here?" I nodded. Because I'm not sure if that's what that means. "I heard that my father's family came from here," I nodded. "I don't know much about them, though." He sighed. I don't think you should be here," he said tersely. "You're not ready." He knew something. "Why? What do you know?" I wasn't letting it go. About you? Not much, but I know about the Pushcha. The past is close here." His eyes were worried as he looked at me. "And if the Pushcha calls to you, it's wise to listen. But it's not wise to get lost in the voices. Come." On the way back, I was lost in my thoughts. The voices in the vision knew what I had to do. It's almost as though it was expected of me. Was this what the forest wanted from me? Daniel said that the Pushcha had called me. Was the vision showing me what the forest needed? I was scared. Willpower! The forest showed me visions of blood and fire. I trembled. A bigger picture was starting to come to light, and I wasn't sure if I liked what I saw. The Pushcha wanted me to deceive. The walk back was uneventful. Yeah, Paladin Demo is definitely an expert in werewolf lore, so Any questions, just throw them in the chat and he'll probably answer them before I even have a chance to look at it. I felt a little tired. The shadows of the enormous trees cooled the sweat on my skin. The taste of ash lingered in my mouth. Let's go to the place of power. Ooh, achievement unlocked. Beacon. A buzzing in my ears. It started with the hair on the backs of my hands rising. The air around me seemed brighter, lighter. The leaves in the tree trunks turned yellow and my skin started to prickle. Look at this. I love this. I remember this from the demo and I love the howling wolves here and then the wolf face here. It made me so happy. I realized that I couldn't hear anything except for a low buzzing that was filling my ears. I was hot. My bones were vibrating, full of an energy I couldn't contain. I had to do something, snap out of it. I screamed. I took a deep breath and let out a scream, not from the top of my lungs, but from the bottom of my stomach. I could feel the sound filling me, replacing the strange buzz, if only for a moment. Are you okay? Anya asked. Don't you hear the buzzing? I looked at her, shocked. She frowned. What? Oh, okay, I hear something. Hey, is it coming from that clearing? It was indeed. A clearing and a silhouette of a person there, a shadow that moved slowly and deliberately. I approached. The clearing was a plateau between huge boulders. There were double-trunked trees between the rocks and an angular wooden construction that stuck out of the ground like a sore thumb. There was a bike leaning on it. But more importantly, there was a man, and he was moving in the most beautiful, harmonious way I'd ever seen. It was hypnotizing, and I believe he's German, if I remember from the demo. I looked at him for a moment, at the way his muscles danced under his tanned skin. He took a slow step to the side, and even though his foot didn't make a sound when it touched the ground, I started. That was it. That was the key. The silent rhythm of his steps, the rhythm of that place, the rhythm of my heart beating in my chest. The energy that had been filling me earlier took form. It was flowing in rhythm with his steps, with the flow of his hands. The words came out of my mouth seemingly without my knowing. What did he do? What? How? What did you do? He smiled. It's a little bit complicated. He stretched his hand toward me. I'm Cornell, he said with a hard German accent. Shouldn't you be on the logging site? Daniel asked him after I introduced myself. I needed to center myself, he answered. Sie also are still there. Don't worry. They were cutting down trees in this forest? Wait, logging? Here? I couldn't believe my ears. He smiled bitterly. Yes, logging, here. That's why I needed to calm down. This place is special, Daniel said. Some people call it a place of power, as I told you. And they have good reason to, Cornell added. Look around you. So I looked. It was a clearing filled with light. I could see Cornell's traces, a beautiful pattern on the ground. But there was one thing that caught my attention more than anything else. The boulders around us were strange. These rocks, someone brought them here, right? I asked, looking at the boulders, which upon closer inspection formed a circle. The stones were irregular and nestled deep in the ground. People believed this was a place of worship thousands of years ago, hence the fruit trees, the stone circle, and now the tower. And indeed, there's a lot of energy in this place. You felt it, didn't you? Yes. Oop, neutral, okay. Yeah, I felt it, I said without enthusiasm. The pushcha is wounded and in pain, and it calls out in rage to anyone who can hear it. Here this call is louder. You see, the logging, his eyes darkened, is slaughter. Anya gasped quietly. Every priceless thing can be destroyed by greed. Logging is illegal, of course, but illegal is sometimes just a way of saying a bit more expensive but still profitable, especially for huge corporations. The forest is hurt, the wound is getting bigger, as is its desperation. Why doesn't anyone sabotage it? Yeah, sure, we'll ask him that. Why doesn't anyone sabotage it? Ooh, also brave. I clenched my fists. Someone should sabotage the whole thing. You can't log without tools, and buying new tools will get unprofitable at some point. Cornell regarded me for a moment with a faint smile. You have a connection with this forest, don't you? You should come to the logging site and meet everyone. Absolutely, Anya said eagerly. It sounded good. It could be the next step, and even if it wasn't, something had to be fucking done about the logging situation. Yeah, I'll come, I smiled. Great, you will understand what you need to do. He jumped back suddenly and looked at the wooden tower and the bike I'd noticed earlier. Die Schwalbe is getting restless, he said, and as Daniel pointed out, I should be on the logging site setting up the protest. Schwalbe is German for swallow, like the bird, by the way. It's also a name of a bike company here, like that builds bikes. I have my humans at the door. What is a Schwalbe? I asked, confused. He named his bike Swallow, Daniel explained. He loves it very much. Cornell grinned. Oh, I do. Nice meeting you, Maia. All I wanted to do was get out of there. I'm pretty sure that's where the demo ended, except at this point, or I think maybe she had one more dream, but it ended fairly close to here. The moment he disappeared, the buzzing came back. It wasn't as strong as before, but it was there. All I wanted to do was get out of there. Oh, God. We went on through the greenery. The buzzing in my ears slowly decreased. I can't even speak anymore. We made our way back. Serendipity. As we walked through town, Anya nudged me and pointed at a tall, broad-shouldered, freckled guy standing at the bus stop with a lost expression on his face. I remembered his face from the pictures on social media. It was the friend who'd stood up to me earlier. I greeted him. I don't have to be mean. Bartek? I asked, getting his attention. Maia, what are you doing here? He blurted with surprise when he saw me. I was sure you missed the bus. We started walking and talking. His accent was broad and East European, like all of my accents. Anya liked him. Anya took an immediate liking to him. I could tell. I could always smell romance in the air. We walked along the only street in the village, nearing the center, if you could call it that. Every house had a garden, and the air was dense with the fragrance of flowers. I took a deep breath. Oh, God. So did you find anything linking me to the forest? I asked. Bartek shook his head. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Sorry. He was avoiding my eyes. A trickle of sweat ran down his temple. He was lying straight to my face. What the fuck, man? I threw my arms in the air. You wrote to me a few days ago that you had something. But he just clammed up. You know what? I think you should drop it. I stopped. That was the final straw. Yeah, let's let our rage out on him. Let's do it. I turned to Bartek, grabbed his shirt, and pushed him hard against a fence. I'd always been strong, and anger made me even stronger. His feet lost contact with the ground. I heard Anya gasp. All right. Then I came to my senses. Then I managed to let him go. I desperately need that information, you know? I said and helped him up. Yeah, I see that. He laughed a short, uneasy laugh. Well, he brushed... Oh, no. Well, he brushed his forehead with the back of his hand. I did ask. I started with the old people here. I told him that my friend from the States was looking for her roots and wanted to know about the place her family came from. You know the drill. Can't talk. At first, people were very, receptive. I waited for the other shoe to drop. And then I mentioned your name. He shook his head. I needed a moment to calm down. I'll lose a little rage there. Romance? Ew. I love romance, personally. Personally, I'm a hopeless romantic, but don't tell anybody. Because I like to pretend like I don't have feelings. We walked in silence for a long time. Finally, I nodded and he continued his story. One of the old men here told me to go to hell. The other spat on the ground and his wife crossed herself. For a moment he looked younger and smaller. And then my own grandmother told me to stop asking. She said something else as well. I tensed up. What? I asked. She told me to pray for you. Suddenly the sweet golden afternoon wasn't so sweet and golden anymore. That piqued my interest. I knew there was something weird and twisted connecting me and my family to the forest. I could feel a shiver run down my spine. We walked in silence, but my mind was in overdrive. People didn't want to talk, and that could only mean one thing. I was on the right track. Yeah, I got my willpower back. Sweet. Hint updated. People were scared to talk about your family and the forest. Okay. My pulse quickened, and I tensed up like a hound that smelled blood. I was on the right track. I needed to gather my thoughts. It was a long day. A lot had happened, and I was really tired. It was good to meet you in person, I said, but I need to be going. All this traveling and walking through the forest, it was exhausting. I smiled. Sure, where are you staying? It turned out we were going the same way, of course. We went back to the B&B. I haven't been to a B&B in ages. Let's look at our character sheet. We haven't looked at that in a while. Anything? Oh yeah, there we go. Look, it's filling out pretty good. We're as brave as we are cunning. People are scared of us. The forest thinks we're awesome. Only Anya likes us. Which I would hope so. She's our friend. The B&B was quaint. I left Anya and Bartek outside. They were lost in a conversation and didn't even notice that I was gone. When I got out of the shower, Anya was back, smiling and a little flustered. What a day, she smiled. So what do you think? I made a quick mental inventory of everything that had happened that day. They're cutting down forest! Place of power sure made an impression. I felt this strange energy in the place of power before we met Cornell. It still freaks me out. Cornell seemed cool, though, Anya answered, and he seemed to really understand what you're going through. Oh yeah, they were cutting down the forest. Anya, ooh, loyal, okay. I can't believe they're logging here. I shook my head. Isn't the forest on an UNESCO list or something? Yeah, I know. I want to check out this protest people were talking about. Maybe we could go there tomorrow. Daniel was a strange guy. There's something strange about the forest guide. I tried to put my finger on it. He acted like he learned how to be human from a book. A book he didn't understand. Yes, likely because he's lupus, as we are Hamid. As it said in her vision in the very beginning. I know, right? Maybe it's the isolation. It seems he spends most of his time in the forest. I was freaked out by the visions of the barrows. Something strange happened when I was visiting the old barrows, I said, and instantly regretted it. Never mind, I was probably just dehydrated. Yeah, it was probably it, but you looked weird. She laughed nervously. A lot of things today were weird if you think about it. I was moved by the story of the wolves. The wolf cubs that were kidnapped and died in captivity, I sighed. The story stayed with me, you know. She put a hand on my arm. Divided families, huh? It's okay, Maia. I didn't feel like talking anymore. So over it. You know what? I'm seriously tired. Let's call it a day, shall we? Soon we were both in our beds, ready to sleep. I lay in my bed for some time, trying to make some sense out of everything that I'd learned and experienced. That day, the gibbous moon was shining through the window, a gentle wind was blowing. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the tangled branches, the stone Daniel asked me to throw, the leaves. I came here with one question, and now I had so many. Felt I was closer to getting my answers. Yeah, 3 willpower. Hint, I should go and see the logging protest. I want to. I felt that the answers I was looking for were within my reach. I should go and see the logging protest, find Cornell, and make him talk. After a long while, all these thoughts became blurry. They slowly started to turn into pictures, sounds, and colors. Right, and this is, I think we had this little thing in the demo, and then that's how it ended. There was no interaction with Bartek, as far as I remember. A black cat stands directly in my path, its eyes shining in the moonlight. It looks right at me, waiting. My senses are heightened. I see the moon cutting in half. I am a cub. I am a wolf cub like the ones my grandfather told me about. I will grow and my fangs will become sharper. I will taste blood. I feel a pull and I surrender to it. I run toward a clearing. There are piles of fresh corpses of people who died too young, skinned and mutilated. Their loved ones stand around them, grieving, unable to do anything, waiting. And suddenly they are just trees and tree trunks. I howl. Ooh. I look at the moon and I howl. The trees are dead, and I'm the only one left to sing their story. There is a stench in the air like meat rotting in acid, but somehow worse. I see the monstrous army. Their mandibles are whirling chainsaws. Their long metal arms are wrapped with black pipes that look like glistening intestines. Their smell is vile. So obviously it's the logging, she's seeing the logging machines, I think. They wait, unmoving. I charge at them. Let's get back up to full rage. I try to breathe through my mouth as I run toward the machines. I hit and kick them blindly, screaming at the top of my lungs. And in my own screams, I hear strange whispers. They tell me to look at the sky. There, between the stars, 2 shapes circle each other. An old sad wolf with gray hair and a white weasel. They keep their eyes on one another as they continue their dance, suspicious but not hostile. We need to fight the enemy, the awful rotting stench, I know that much. But how can we do that when we don't trust each other? They stop. They look at me and the clearing. I challenge them. Hi, Penry. Playing a werewolf game. Come here and face me. Once again, I don't recognize the words, but I understand. They come down to me and their voice is the voice of the Pushcha. We've been calling you, and you finally came. I wake up. We're back at full rage again. I want to stay at full rage as much as possible, unless I absolutely don't want to. Logging. The day after. So, what do we got on our info sheet? Spiritual cunning. People protesting about logging. I hope you're doing well, Penry, by the way. The next morning was full of sunshine and birdsong. I could smell the heat of the afternoon building, those long honey-like hours in late June when the earth isn't tired of its own warmth yet, but it was crisp and pleasant now. I got up. I sat on my bed for a moment, letting my feet dangle from it. I felt angry. The weight of the previous day had coiled up somewhere in my chest, and it felt like a tiny merry-go-round gaining speed. And there was the dream. Then I remembered the dream, the clearing, the animals in the night sky, waiting for me. I took a shower, ate something without really paying attention, and went out. Anya joined you. We want to go to the logging site. There's nowhere else to go. So, we were halfway through the forest when I realized we were walking toward the logging site. That's weird. Against the machines. I was so focused on my anger and the turmoil in my head that I didn't really care where I was going. When I snapped out of it, the sun was shining, the village was far behind me, and I wasn't sure how I'd gotten there. Anya looked around. So what's the plan? To stop the logging. That's the plan. We have to stop this logging. I looked around. I'm brave. I looked around. On my right was the ancient forest. On my left was the freshly torn clearing. Ahead of me, ruining the view, were huge logging machines and a group of people arguing in their shadow. A perfect picture of a battlefield seconds before the first shots are fired. I look at the clearing. Hey, Prim! I am enjoying the game. It's excellent. I bumped my microphone a few times. The trees they'd cut down lay in the middle, thrown together, lifeless, limp, just like in the dream. Surrounding them were the harvesters that killed them, and people who squabbled over their corpses. The protesters, the reporters, the police, and of course, the loggers. The harvesters loomed over the clearing, reeking. I saw a familiar face among the protesters. Is it the German guy? Yeah, Cornell, that was his name. Cornell was arguing with a woman with gray dreadlocks. The protesters were clearly conflicted. Maybe I could solve the conflict. I'm sure with 3 rage, I'll be great at it. I thrived in solving conflict, so I went closer. I solved conflict with my fists or my claws. One of the police officers, young and nervous, said something I didn't fully understand. I ignored him. Police, unfriendly. Okay. I tried to walk past him. He stepped in my way and slowly assessed me. Oh, he said, you're one of them, and then let us go. Then I noticed that someone joined us. I'm doing fine, Pedri, thank you. I've had a really long day, and I'm just excited to play this game because this is the release day of the game, and it's so good, and it was like 2 months since the demo came out, and I'm just so excited to really explore. I think this is, I might actually be mistaken, but this is the first, I think this is the first Werewolf the Apocalypse game, but I'm not 100% sure. I know there was a few that never got off the ground, so to speak, but yeah. Like I said in the beginning of the stream, my fondest to dearest wish is for more World of Darkness games and books to be released, for more eyes to be on them, for more people to discover them, and for the fan base to increase. That's really like one of my huge goals of my channel now, is to just provide such a service. It is the first. I thought it was. First released Werewolf game, that's correct. Ed Penry, if you don't know who the Primogen is, and Primogen probably doesn't know who Penry is. Primogen's my buddy, who I do a podcast with, and who's my fellow World of Darkness creator, and Penry is my buddy who does streaming over on Twitch. And I'm actually introducing Penry to Vampire in a game on Sunday. So he'll be playing his first time playing Vampire with me on Sunday. And the Primogen is like an expert in everything World of Darkness. Okay. And then I noticed that someone used the commotion to sneak with us past the police, a girl with disheveled, bleached-out hair. Don't worry, she patted the officer on the arm. It was an awful pickup line anyway. He recoiled. You shouldn't touch me, ma'am. I rolled my eyes. Pat, neutral. Oh, I wasn't rolling my eyes at her. I meant to be rolling my eyes at the cop. I rolled my eyes and wanted to say something, but I was interrupted. Pat, Cornell called from the gathering. Could you come here? I need you to show Olga that chart. She sighed, reaching to her backpack and taking out a tablet. And they're at it again, she murmured under her breath and winked at me. Coming? We went toward the activists. I would love to see more World of Darkness stuff. They have more settings than I thought. Yes. Yes. Werewolves, not swearwolves. Yes, Prim, you are absolutely the one of the best resources for World of Darkness stuff, is you. There's so much to World of Darkness. You'd lift a rock and there'd be like 3 vampires, a werewolf, and a mummy beneath. And yeah. Mummy is still something I haven't looked into. I keep meaning to, but I haven't looked into it yet. As I walked towards Cornell, I heard more and more of the argument. Olga, you can't, Cornell was saying. Pat stood next to him with her tablet. She looked a bit amused. Do not fucking tell me what I can or can't do, Cornell. The woman with dreadlocks interrupted. I can, because they are destroying our mother. I can fight with all the means at my disposal, even if it means burning those harvesters to the ground. I noticed Daniel standing near her. He took a few steps back, went towards one of the harvesters, turned his back on us all, and pissed on the machine. He's definitely a lupus. Olga smirked. Aw, Daniel, you know how to bring the point home. He looked at her confused. Cornell raised his eyebrows. Burn the harvesters, Cornell asked calmly. In this drought? Olga, you are out of your mind. You know what I mean. We fight them any way we can, because this is a fucking war, she spat. He sighed. You've never seen real war, and it shows. Nobody is shooting at us, and believe me, we want it to stay that way. We need a peaceful protest. I approached Cornell. Mummies are so weird in the World of Darkness. I mean, when I say I haven't looked into it, I mean I've sort of surface read stuff, and yes, I would absolutely agree. Like I said, which I never thought it would be, because of course I know the most about vampire, and I'm like the most geeky about vampire stuff. I have to say my favorite setting, based on all the books that I've read now, is still Wraith. Wraith is my favorite setting and deserves so much more attention than it gets. Hi, we need to talk, I said, approaching Cornell. Hello, Maia. Could you wait? I'm right in the middle of something here. In the middle of something? Well, it looked like I had to bring this something to an end. I looked at them. I looked at them both. Olga with her fury and passion, Cornell with his cool professional demeanor, and shared without any reservations what I felt about the situation. Peaceful wasn't flashy enough. Inspiring. Olga sympathetic, Cornell cautious, Daniel neutral, Pat cautious. Okay. Alright. Peaceful protests might work in Germany, I said loudly. But if you haven't noticed, man, you're not in Berlin anymore. This is Poland. Without something flashy, they won't give a fuck about public opinion. I only inflame the situation. That's what I do. Didn't I say like 5 seconds ago I was really good at like being a mediator? I'm not. Wraith is awesome, but one of those semi-impossible games to pull off. I would agree with that. Yeah, there's no Mage the Ascension game. Mage and Changeling, there's no games lined up for them. I would love to have a mage game. It would be really difficult, though. I feel like that would be a difficult game. Out of all of the settings, I feel like that would be one of the more difficult games to get off the ground, just because of how, just because of the way that magic works. I don't know. I don't know if you could. I don't know how you would do that, honestly. The argument attracted more and more people. Someone old shook their head and moved forward. They had deep wrinkles, a narrow mouth, and the unisex grace of a tired, heroin-preserved rockman. They looked out of place. They looked out of place with their shoulder-length disheveled hair, a clean shave, and eyes highlighted with eyeliner. Bright blue nails, heavy army boots, a red skirt, and a tank top completed the look. And pins, lots of pins. All kinds of LGBTQA plus flags, anarchist and pacifist symbols, and I think some German band stripes. I observed them curiously. Kim, cautious. Jesus, this is getting to be too many names now. Olga, darling, you know I love you, but Cornell really knows what he's doing. Please, trust me on that one. They talked to Olga, but kept glancing at me as if to check how I reacted. Fuck off, Kim. You didn't even trust me enough to come here on your own when I asked you to. When I asked you to. Just one O. There was a woman at Olga's side. This is probably Kim. Next to Olga, there stood a woman, and she was the most beautiful person I've ever seen. I couldn't help but overhear. Lisa, sympathetic. This is getting to be too many names. I'm gonna start forgetting all these names and who they are and what they're doing here. Yep, that's too many names. I mostly only know Vampire since I watched a friend play Redemption. You should definitely watch the Primogens videos if you want to learn more about Vampire. You can watch mine too, but you should definitely watch this. Kim, you want to teach me about violence? She looked them straight in the eye. About fighting oppression? Just because your boss went to what? One mission in Afghanistan? Her Polish was peculiar, kind of mellow. Cornell winced. Lisa, leave Kim alone. My neighbor's dog's name is Lisa. He didn't know what to say, and it seemed that the whole discussion would be derailed. Maybe it was for the best. Olga neutral. I let them solve it their way. And then Olga punched Cornell firmly in the face, turned around and walked away. Hiccup. He turned around, holding his jaw and wincing. And then he started to laugh softly. The conversation was over, at least for the time being. Cornell, together with his cronies, walked toward the reporters, while Olga went back to the group of people standing in the shadow of an old oak tree. I looked at the forest. Yeah, the Pushcha loves me. I looked at the Pushcha. The clearing full of felled trees was like a gaping, bleeding wound in the chest of a friend. My resolve strengthened. Goal mission, stop the logging. Yes. I came here to stop the logging, and after seeing what I'd seen, my resolve only strengthened. Yes, just like Olga said, Anya nodded, excited. What they are doing is unforgivable, I can't talk, and we have to fight. I looked at one group, I looked at the other. Ooh. The harvesters were dripping with black oil, and the forest stood tall, serene, and full of golden light. It looked like it could protect itself. And then I looked at the felled trees, dead, limp, helpless. Ooh. Do we go to Cornell? Or do we go to Olga? I think we're gonna go to Olga. We're already at 3 rage. I think we may as well escalate things. As we approached, Daniel pricked his ears. I could have sworn they moved. Hello, fellow humans. He grinned at us. That's my greeting that I'm gonna use from now on. Hello, fellow humans. Yeah, there's too many names. I'm never gonna remember them all. I felt Olga's eyes on me. And who the fuck do you think you are? She demanded. She stood there with her arm wrapped around the waist of another woman. It was Lisa. She winked at me and mouthed, "It's okay." What was the argument about? What was the argument about? I asked back. Olga didn't answer, and we locked gazes. Lisa nudged her. See, honey, I told you. It's obvious. I looked at them again. Olga rolled her eyes. I had more time to look at her now. She was wearing combat trousers, sandals, and there was a small silver double-bladed axe hanging on the string around her neck. The labrys, okay, a lesbian feminist symbol. She wasn't hiding where she stood. Okay, I don't know what that is. I should look it up. She acted like she knew something about me. I feel like there's something personal going on here, I said bluntly, but I don't even know you. Oh, Maia, but I know about you. She laughed bitterly. When the Pushcha is under attack, she reaches out and picks someone. This time, goddess knows why, she picked you to help her. She seemed to believe it. Okay, sure. It's Olga, Daniel, Cornell, Lisa, Anya. There's more than that. There's also Kim. There's more. There's Pat and Kim and the police, apparently. Brad? I haven't met a Brad yet. Bartek? I think you mean Bartek, the other guide. I looked at her, skeptical, but he seemed to believe it. The question is, she looked at me as she paused, will you do it? Before I could answer, there was a commotion, a change of mood. Olga stiffened and looked over my head. The police were coming our way. Officers, Olga said, hissing the words through her teeth. Ma'am, said an officer whose round face was adorned by a mustache that looked like a shoe brush. Disperse. But I wasn't that easy to intimidate. Because I'm awesome. The face. Oh my god. I was just kidding. I don't think there's a Brad. Not a fan of Bartek. I only had one scene with him so far. I don't know much about him. I stood shoulder to shoulder with the other protesters as the officers started to approach. Disperse, repeated the mustache man. I stood my ground. I'm brave, I think. When I stood there between the cops and the protesters, I realized that there were more of us than them. The activists started to back down. Suddenly, my head was surprisingly clear. I grabbed a megaphone. Yes, let's do this. I grabbed a megaphone from the hands of a startled teenager and jumped on a tree stump. Hey, I shouted. The amplified sound stopped everyone in their tracks. Remember what this is all about. I turned to the protesters. Are you going to stand here and let them push you away? I asked. For a split second, I was surprised how clear my voice was. The cops were scared. We have the upper hand. We know what we stand for. They do not, I continued. They think they are the masters here, but they are just following orders. They are just weak, vulnerable humans with their human uniforms. They think their badges and weapons will protect them. I got carried away. Yeah, I sound a little, hostile. They will not. Look at them. Just look at them. Sweating like pigs, unable to take their uniforms off even when it's too hot. They blindly follow orders. They are as stupid as their machines. That was when they maced me. Kind of deserved that. Firebrand. My vision tunneled and I noticed that the cops only advanced after they'd maced me. Then the cops drew their batons and the protesters started running. And then all hell broke loose. I heard harsh, menacing voices. I heard screams. I heard people running towards one another, the police crashing into the protesters. Some of them fought back. Some turned and ran away. And some sat down on the ground, only to be dragged away. I was blinded. I got a little too fiery. Got a little too frisky. Smells like human. Someone suddenly grabbed me from behind. I tried to free myself, but couldn't. I looked down at the hands that held me. Don't do anything rash, said Olga, dragging me away. You've done enough for today. I kept silent. I'd say I'd done enough. This time I kept silent. I didn't know whether it was praise or a rebuttal, and I didn't dare to ask. Woo! The ugly truth. I have no idea how I ended up on the way back to the village. My eyes were red. I had a runny nose and my throat hurt from screaming. In the whole commotion, I lost Anya from my sight. I was alone. Or so I thought. Hey, let me help you. A voice behind me said, and I jumped. A woman was looking at me with concern. What happened? I got maced! I got maced, I croaked. She rummaged in her backpack, clearly prepared for such a situation. Here, she said, I have milk. You should wash your eyes. It works better than water. That is true. We walked slowly toward the village. We talked. Press. Oh, she's the press. Sympathetic, okay. I learned that she was an independent German reporter who'd come here about a month ago. So many Germans. Her name was Erica. So why are you protesting the logging? She asked after a few minutes of small talk. For personal reasons. I came here for personal reasons, and I've dropped right into the middle of some eco-guerrilla campaign, I shrugged. And for many reasons, my interests are aligned with the protesters. I looked at her. And why are you asking? She looked at me with renewed interest. Do you know why they are cutting down the trees? She asked back. Because you do know that logging is done by a government company, the state forests. The fuckers. The fuckers, I growled. Politicians are tainted. I hated politicians. I say we take off and nuke them from orbit. I shook my head. Pretty radical, she snorted with laughter. But that destroyed the forest. Erica reached for her notebook. It all started with spruce bark beetles. Erica looked into her notes and started explaining the whole situation. That year, the beetles' infestation was of catastrophic proportions, and the foresters decided that the only way to stop it and save the rest of the forest was to cut down as many infested trees as fast as possible. Was cutting down trees necessary? Is cutting down trees the only way to stop the infestation? I asked, confused. The foresters state that this is the only way, she said. Some biologists argue that they are cutting wrong trees and doing it too late to change anything. But was the logging legal? But is the logging legal? I wanted to know. Opinions differ, but such massive logging in an UNESCO-listed area might be illegal, Erica answered. Couldn't they just remove the dead trees? Maybe if they removed the dead trees, the infestation wouldn't spread. I tried to find a solution. They might do that, but dead trees are what makes a forest unique, Erica smiled. There are 20 times more species living on a dead spruce tree than on an alive one. Did they have to intervene at all? Couldn't they just leave the puszcza alone and let nature take its course? I asked. That's one of the options, Erica admitted. But there's a drought, and no one is sure if the forest would survive on its own. It was infuriating. Why couldn't she just answer my questions? Whose side are you on? Let's get angry. Press neutral. Germany is. I know Germany is next door to Poland. I'm aware of that. I live in Germany. I do live on the opposite side, though. I do live on the western side. I can walk to France from here. I'm just doing my job, Erica shrugged. I describe all aspects of the situation to you, but it's up to you to decide what you want to do. Everyone had their jobs. I nodded. That was her job. My job was to do something about the situation. At least I was sure that they were cutting down the trees and the puszcza needed my help. What happened to the wood? When they cut down the trees, what happens to the wood? I asked Erica. The state forests have to be financially self-sufficient. They earn money by selling forest products, including wood, she answered. That's why I think the bark beetle is not the reason, but an excuse to push more wood on the market. Oh, that was her talking the whole time. I concluded my case. She looked skeptical. You're not the only one feeling helpless, she sighed. But anger makes you see things in black and white, and the truth is always more nuanced than that. So what was right and what was wrong? Yeah, I'm very curious what auspice I'm going to have as well. No Ragabash on my second, significantly more successful one. I can't remember now. I actually can't remember what I was when I first played the demo. I think I was Galliard, but I actually don't remember anymore. It was only 2 months ago, and I can't remember. How awful. So what should I do when I feel that something is wrong? I asked, exasperated. Do you believe that people can be evil? She asked back. Some people were bad. Some are, for sure, I shrugged. But isn't that too easy an explanation? I said nothing. What's the matter? She asked. I admitted my helplessness. I felt so helpless when I saw all that. I took a deep breath. Then I remembered what Olga had told me. All that mystical stuff. And they said that the forest needs my help. I shook my head. It's a lot to take in, and there was that foul smell back there. She looked at me with a weird expression. What smell? She asked. The smell was not the point. Oh, man. Of all the things I told you, you asked about a smell? I huffed. I'm trying to understand what's going on here. She looked at me with a strange expression on her face, as though she wanted to say something and then thought better of it. She looked hurt. I'm sorry. I'm really angry all the time. Press, cautious. It's not my fault. I'm really angry. I thought she'd been hurt by my outburst. You'll learn in your own time if you stay here long enough, she said, clearly wanting to drop the topic. I'm not dropping my rage. Stop it. What did she mean? I am the law. What do you mean? I asked, getting irritated. I just told you. You'll learn in time. Or not at all, which would frankly be better. Anyway, gotta run. As I watched her leave, I thought that whatever connected me to the forest had surely manifested itself that day. I guess I'd made some progress. Hint updated, I decided to help the forest. I jump right into the middle of a very tense situation and at the very least upset the status quo. I just hope I hadn't made things worse. I walk on in silence. Rage! Staying at full rage. Anya came back soon after me. I lost sight of you, she said apologetically. Glad you made it back in one piece. So how was your day? Well, I got maced. I grinned. It was my first time. Do not recommend. 1 out of 5 stars. Oh shit, are you alright? Anya asked. I'll live, I shrugged. I incited some violence. I think I might have incited some violence, I admitted. I was just trying to lift their spirits. You should be more careful with your words, Anya frowned. There wasn't enough time to be careful, I protested. I also learned a lot. Did you know that the government supported the logging even when it was illegal? I shared my dismay. Anya just nodded solemnly. Yeah, I've read about it. Why didn't you tell me? Well, you have a lot going on, she shrugged. I met a lot of new people whose names I'll forget instantly. I met some very interesting people, I said, still excited. Yeah, they look like a colorful bunch, Anya grinned. Maybe you could introduce me later? They sure are passionate. They argue between themselves more than they argue with the loggers, I added. It was all I wanted to share. I shrugged. Just another day in, here we go, Białowice. We sat for a while in silence. You know, there's more to see here than Białowice, Anya said from over her travel guide. I can't. Oh, God, I can't. Pogoca. I can't. Nope. I can't. Those places. There's something interesting in every village. An open-air museum, some kind of folk university, the bison. Maybe you'd like to see something more than logging. I couldn't see everything. It would be great if I could see everything, but I can't, I shrugged. I want to focus on the logging, even if I'm missing something else. And how's the search for your roots going? Anya couldn't stay silent for long. Shared what I'd learned. They say that when the forest is in need, it reaches out to people, I said. And for some reason, this time it reached out to me. Wow, Anya looked impressed. Honestly, I'm not sure what to think. But if you need something, just let me know. I was tired. I just sat there looking through the window. The day'd been full on, and I was exhausted. I didn't notice when I fell asleep. Lesson 1, mace hurts. Yeah, it's a hard way to learn the lesson, honestly. Yeah, Polish is not something I can't, nope. It's quiet now, yet I know deep inside that something isn't right. I keep walking. Stop trying to make me lose my rage. I'm walking through the forest to the logging site. It's getting dark. The light seeps away as though there are millions of tiny punch holes in the sky through which it can escape, and then the darkness starts to pour in. I know what I will see. And I see bodies strewn across the ground, bloodied, maimed, with their limbs torn from destroyed torsos. I can see some of them are still alive, still struggling for air, still trying to live. They are all trees, fallen trees, still alive, still struggling for air. And there's the stench. I can smell them. The stench is dark, rancid, putrid. There are monsters at the edge of the forest. They have long skeletal arms. They are wrapped in glistening black intestines, and each arm has a wide, gaping mandible full of whirring blades. They snap at me blindly. I feel righteous anger burning through me like molten lava bubbling up from the ground. Through my feet, up my legs, through my chest, to my head. I point at the monsters. My friends watch, and I bask in their rage. I howl the sentence. Ooh, nice. I howl out the death sentence, and we run toward the monstrous shapes. We bite off heads and tear off arms. We are an executioner's axe, unflinching. Then I wake up. Goal: find out what's happening to you. I gasped and bolted upright. I was alone. The sun was setting, and in the deep red light, the room looked like it was bathed in blood. My pillow was on the ground, gutted, and the duvet was in shreds. The air was full of tiny feathers dancing in the draft from the window. What the fuck was going on? Please wait. The artwork is fantastic. I need to talk. I couldn't get back to sleep. Since I'd arrived in this accursed village, things had been getting stranger and stranger with every passing hour, and now I'd ripped a pillow in half in my sleep. Nice. Nothing about it was normal. I needed to talk it over with someone I trusted. Problem was I didn't trust anyone. Ugh. Anya is loyal. She does really like us. I don't know if I'd trust her with this information, though. Seems kind of weird. But yeah, we shared everything else with her. I'd come here with Anya, and despite all the strange things I'd done, she still stuck with me. I messaged her, and she messaged me back. I'm on a walk. Come join me. The sun had just set, and the moon wasn't up yet. I started walking. The forest loomed on the horizon. The activists' camp was somewhere there. We met near the shop in Białowieża. It was a characteristic enough point and easy to get to from anywhere in town. What is it? Anya asked. She looked worried. Something strange was happening here. Don't you think there's something really strange happening here? With all the people in the forest? It's driving me mad. There is something strange happening, she nodded, but I have no idea what it is. I know even less than you. She frowned. Maybe we should go to your new friends, the activists? She smiled a little. They are weird. They must know something. That was her advice. Let's get angry. Oh, we made it go down a little bit. I come to you for advice and all you have to say is go to someone else? Thanks for nothing. She looked at me hurt. You know what? Yes, go to someone else and leave me be. She turned her back on me and just left. Looking at her go, I realized that now I had only one option, the one she talked about. I went to the activist camp. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Just really angry. Makes me lash out. Hi, Ethan. Por qué no los dos? Yeah. Talk or kill? Oh, man. Man, Huddy, all I did was toss my pillow on the floor. No, I got really angry. I got super duper angry. They could have a voice pronounce the Polish when you click it. That would have been nice. I would have really appreciated that. Yeah, boo or ow would be appropriate as well, Ethan. Altogether now, the camp had a different vibe than the logging site protest. There were more people there. I looked around, suddenly feeling very alone. The people in the camp seemed quite cheerful. Someone was singing. I heard 3 or 4 girls singing together in a unique Eastern European style called the white voice. It was the most melodic, throaty growling I'd ever heard. I listened for a moment. Oh, does it make me lose some rage? Damn it. I stopped and just got lost in the music for a long while. People were milling about, setting up camp, cooking, preparing posters. Everyone was busy. I looked around. I definitely needed to talk to someone about what was going on, about what I felt. Let's talk to Olga. I came there looking for Olga, and soon I spotted her. Well, hello again, she greeted me. I didn't expect to see you here so soon. Actually, she gave me a long, hard look. I didn't expect to see you again at all. Let's snap at her. Good fucking evening to you too, I snapped. And to my surprise, she started to laugh. Her face softened. What brings you here, kid? She asked after a beat. I was angry. I'm angry, I said simply. I'm angry about what you told me, about my history, the forest, and the logging. I don't like being angry and not doing something about it. I like your attitude, she said. We need anger to do things that are hard. Always. It's the force that moves us forward and helps us survive. She broke off and bit her lip. What do you want to do about it? Olga neutral. Oh, she wants me to be really angry. It's a good question, I thought. How would it make me feel if I succumbed to this pull, this fire, this incessant voice in the back of my head? I don't really want to do things fueled by anger, I said slowly. I've done that before. It only created more shit to deal with. She narrowed her eyes. So we're not on the same page then, she said. No, not really, I agreed. But it was still nice to see you again. And I went to see Cornell. Okay, so she wants me to be a raging bitch monster. Which would be fun, but I think maybe it shouldn't. I feel kind of bad about Anya. Once Anya, I was mean to her, I feel kind of bad about full rage. Maybe I shouldn't go for full rage, because it seems to make mistakes. It seems to not work out pretty well. I turned around and moved through the camp to where Cornell and his crew were. Hello, I said as I approached. Cornell smiled at me. Hello, he said. What brings you here? I need answers. I shrugged and dug my hands deeper into the pockets of my jeans. I have so many questions about myself, the forest, and the logging. Cornell looked at me with those uncanny gray eyes. I could feel his attention lock on me. It's okay, he said. Join us, and you'll understand. We're here to stop what's happening, to show that we don't agree, and we hope to make a difference. Will it work? I don't know. All I know is that it worked before. It worked for Gandhi. It worked with segregation and apartheid in the end. It worked with communism. So let's see if it works here with capitalism as well. Violence is not an option here. He smiled. And I think you know quite well that anger doesn't really get shit done. I knew that. I smiled back. Somehow being around him made me feel more relaxed. I know. You can count on me, I answered. The forest needed my help, and I couldn't be just an observer anymore. So we may have a little citizen protest going on tonight, Cornell said. But I'll need your support if we want to convince the others. Rip and tear. Yeah, I wanted to do full rage, but I don't know. She's kind of... I also don't want to, like, besides Olga being the obvious exception, I sort of don't want to ruin every relationship with everyone. So maybe I want to try and stay balanced. Maybe just because she doesn't know what's happening to her and everything is, you know, crazy that, you know, she's pretty angry. But I think trying to get a handle on it would make sense role-playing wise. So maybe she will try and stay balanced. We'll see how we do with that. It probably won't go very well. There are only 2 auspices? Okay. They all wanted to do something that night, but after a whole day's discussion, they were still divided on what to do. 3 for one option, 3 for the other. I saw no reason to back up Cornell. Okay. I saw no reason to back up Cornell. Alright. So we could do... I think we're going to do Cornell, actually, instead of the other way around. I don't know what this says. I assume that's in Polish. Activist. Oh, I got Galliard and then went full rage Arun on my 2 playthroughs. No rage / murder everything. No other option. No. I wanted to do full rage and just be just a horrible, crazy, you know, monster. But maybe not. Maybe not the best idea. Maybe let's not. I voted for the peaceful protests, and soon we were on our way to the National Park headquarters and education center. We had some banners to install. Soon we were there. Goal mission: stop the logging peacefully. As we were on our way, I realized that in reality, my methods were much more peaceful than my words had been. I shrugged. You live and you learn. That's exactly what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to live and learn. Balance. Balance is good. Yin, yang... or whatever. The National Park headquarters were located in something called Palace Park. The name was historical. The name, like everything in Poland, was historical. Centuries ago, some king had his hunting lodge there, but now it was a mishmash of old and new buildings scattered around the park. Some were rough and bulky, made of stone and brick, while others were an extravaganza of wooden porches, lace-like shutters, and meticulously sculpted pillars. There was no one around, but the area was well lit. I looked around. I'm not saying we won't mess up sometimes and, you know, go full rage, but we'll try and stay balanced. Just depends on what the choices are. I looked around once more. The moon was waxing gibbous, and I didn't see any stars in the sky. If you didn't count us, the park really seemed empty, dead even. Suddenly, I remembered the church located just next to the Palace Park gate. I could feel its dark silhouette looming in the darkness, waiting. We were ready. They'd spent the whole day painting the sign on a length of material sewn together from what looked like old sheets that were various shades of grayish white. The dark green letters declared, "Wood is the enemy of the forest." "Where do we hang it?" asked Daniel, who'd come equipped with climbing gear. We could cover the church. Remember the church near the entrance of the park? I gestured toward the gate. We could go there and hang the sign there. It would drive the message home. He looked at me doubtfully for a minute, then turned to the others. What do you think? Lisa cleared her throat. If you want to antagonize the whole village, then yeah, sure, that's the best way to do it. Doesn't matter, Olga said, because hanging the banner is a waste of time. She was clearly upset that we ditched her plan, but perhaps she had a point? Well, what does she want to do? Olga, cautious. Okay. So what could we do better the next time? I asked her for advice. We could vote for a plan that has a chance to actually help the forest. Olga rolled her eyes. Olga could screw off. It's a great banner, and I'm sure it will look good on the pictures published by a number of independent political blogs. She looked at Cornell. But it's stuck so deep into the overeducated ecological dispute that people won't get it, and the loggers won't care. Cornell sighed and shook his head. I felt Lisa staring at me. Spiritual. Why are you here? Seriously, Lisa asked suddenly when Cornell disappeared around the corner. The whole group was strained with hidden tensions. Let's talk about our feelings. Oh, another willpower gone. To protect the Puszcza, I said after a while. I can't just stand by as the logging happens. I feel like the forest expects me to do something. And I needed to do something. Anything, to be honest, I explained. I mean, there's this energy in me, and I just have to let it out sometimes. She smiled like she understood perfectly what I was talking about. Finally, we pulled up the banner. I looked at the banner. I was proud of our work. When we finished, Cornell gathered us together. I was proud of what we'd accomplished, and I contributed to that. Yeah, I get that willpower right back. Nice. Progress, goal, mission. We helped the forest, even if it was only a little. Cornell reached for his bicycle. Let's go for a trip, he said, to remind ourselves what we're trying to protect. Okay. Let's go on a trip. Oh god, I missed a lot in the thingy. Don't be a coward. Do you want to know what the banner says? Yeah, it's. I think they told us. It said something about wood. It's like the. I actually can't remember anymore. Something about wood in the forest. I mess up all the games all the time, even when I played Masquerade Tabletop for the first time. Yeah. It matters that you have fun. Having a Dragon's Breath shotgun shoved up the butt wasn't fun, but the RPing panic I did was. Hi, Helton. Yep, we're wooing a lot on Heart of the Forest. We're trying to decide if we want to be horrible or if we want to be balanced. What did the banner say? The banner said something like, wood is the death of the forest? Something like that? The Puszcza loves us, so that's nice. The woods were full of stars. We cycled in silence, enjoying the company of the forest as it enjoyed ours. After some time, the place of power opened up before us. The boulders looked relaxed. A soft breeze rustled in the trees, welcoming us. I felt... Ooh, let's go down to 1 rage and see what happens. I felt right. There was something about the place that made me feel like I belonged. The energy was still there. I knew it, but it couldn't reach me. Not if I didn't allow it to. So why were we here? Or why are we here? I asked, looking at Cornell. He turned to me, but before he could answer, a loud sound tore through the silence. It was a gunshot. Oh, I maybe should have kept my rage for this. Oh no. A gunshot. The others tensed up, but they didn't look concerned, just confused. Who's there? Cornell shouted. There was a rustle, and I saw a bunch of men in camo, each of them with a rifle, coming toward us between the trees. I observed them. Bartek, cautious. Is Bartek? Bartek's with them. Weird. I watched their angry steps and listened to the murmured curses. Suddenly, I noticed Bartek was with them. He winced when he saw me. Their leader weighed us up for a moment and finally focused on Cornell. This area is closed for the night, the huntsman said in Polish. There was contempt in his voice. There is a hunt going on and y'all are trespassing. Do they say y'all in Polish? We have police officers here, so I would go home if I were you. Unless you want to get arrested. This was a pile of hot bullshit. The guy reeked of guilt. But we are going to back off, because we don't want to get shot. I looked at the man and at the other silhouettes, at the rifles, at our bikes. I wasn't stupid. We needed to get the hell out of here. Because I don't want to get shot. Ooh! Into the night. I ran, the air in my lungs boiling, my skin slick with sweat, and the darkness thick around me. Something was chasing me. I left the shouts and gunshots long behind us, but I couldn't stop. Something was chasing me. Wood is the enemy of the forest, yeah. Is there such a thing as balanced in this? It's hard to stay. I had to pick between either going up or going down, so I went down, just so I'd have more. I'd like to think he said y'all in English. Like in between the Polish, he said y'all. I left two silhouettes, one lean, the other bulky. I saw them in the corner of my eye as they leaped forward. At first I thought they were people, but as they leaped they got longer. Longer, smaller. I couldn't see clearly. It was dark. Sweat was blinding me, and they were hiding behind the trees. I heard howling and growling, and then I saw there were wolves chasing me. I thought it said 3 wolves were chasing me. Ooh. Should I use up my last willpower? I kind of want to. Because I'm just curious what choices will be. Because I'm weird like that. I'm curious what choices will be removed from me because I have no more willpower and I can only gain it by following my goal. And because I like to do things like get myself killed in games just to see what would happen. Just to see what happens. I would like to try and see what happens when I have no willpower left. Condition, impaired, no willpower. I stopped in the middle of the path and turned to face the animals. I had no chance of outrunning them anyway. Your willpower dropped to 0. When you lose all your health or willpower, you become impaired. This will make physical tasks if you have 0 health, or social and mental tasks if you have 0 willpower, harder and sometimes impossible. I like. I think I wanted to say something, but I was out of breath. I'd heard shots from the clearing, and there were 2 gigantic wolves hunting me. Overwhelmed, I shrieked at the top of my lungs. The wolves were closing in on me. I closed my eyes. There was a series of wet cracks, like skin breaking, torn from within by muscles that suddenly grew, by bones rapidly getting longer, by fur and teeth and claws. When I dared to look, I saw 2 8-feet-tall monsters standing in front of me on the narrow path in the forest. Fuck. Fuck, I managed to whisper. And then there was only pain. Ouch. Oh, I lost 2 health. Oh, I'm in rough shape. The pain was unbearable. Nothing in my life had prepared me for this. I knew I was dying. Blinded by the blood in my eyes. This is getting pretty intense. I'm enjoying it. Blinded by the blood in my eyes, my shoulder and chest burning around the wound, I knew I was dying. Lost in the woods, away from my family, such as it was, I could only watch as my life pumped out of my body in a crimson river. I said my goodbyes. Am I dead? Am I dead? I felt the shadows gathering around me, sympathetic, curious, hungry. The forest caught my fall with a bed of moss and twigs. I stopped thrashing and a cold numbness engulfed me. Oh, I can't do this one because I give up. Do I die? My eyes were open and I stared blankly up at the trees. There was a small fragment of the sky visible between the branches. The clouds moved and there was light. The full moon. It looked different. Luna in her full glory. I'm impaired, both health and willpower. The moon was a goddess, and she noticed me. Get up, she said. I got up. I get up. Ooh, my Krynos form. I get up, I feel good. I know that I shouldn't, but I don't remember why. I don't care. Ooh, up to 5 rage now. That's pretty sweet. I know I need health and willpower, but let's get up 1 more rage. I breathe. Ooh, that's more than 1. That's more than 1 rage. I thought it was just 1. I take a breath and feel my ribs and muscles move. The forest smells of blood and fear and excitement. I'm happy. I laugh happily, and others' laughter joins me. We laugh and sing to the moon. My mind is clear. My mind is clearer than it's ever been before. I see the world in sharp contrasts of black and white, movement and stillness. I smell prey. I hear language in the hooting of owls, the whistling of the wind, and the snarling of wolves. I am one with the forest, and I stretch. My muscles are sore and cramped, so I stretch like I've never stretched before. My arms are longer. My legs are stronger. My heart is pumping, and I feel like I've spent my whole life packed into a box, and I've finally been set free. Something stings me. Hey, don't take away my health. I just got it back. Ow! There's a small, malformed creature pointing a stick at me. The stick blazes with fire, and there's another sting. The creature is no threat to me, but its presence is annoying. Its smell almost sends me reeling, and I don't like being pricked. Phrasing. I push it away. I push the creature away, and it flies through the air making funny noises. Then it hits a tree and stays there, pinned to a branch like a butterfly. My ears prick, and I hear more creatures running blindly through the bushes. I feel better. My leg no longer stings, and I feel better than ever before. Prey! Hunt! I smell prey and I start hunting. They do not see me as I move silently through the undergrowth. The creatures are running away, their backs turned to me. I watch them and learn how they move. Suddenly, one of them turns my way. We lock glances. I just look. I roar. I roar! Arr! I roar and the creature falls down and curls into a ball. It smells of ammonia, meaning it beat itself. Piercing light burns my eyes. The creatures surround me. They seem to work like a pack. They are dangerous. I run away. I am too smart for such an ambush. I claw my way through the nearest creature and disappear among the trees. Their frustrated shouts make me laugh. A new smell. Bye, Prim. I'll see you tomorrow for something. I don't think we've announced yet, but I'll see you tomorrow for it. I will enjoy being ow. The wind brings a new smell. The air tastes of fur and musk and blood. Shapes move among the trees, but they are no creatures. They are people like me. Suddenly, I'm surrounded by them. I think I know them. They seem familiar. It's like I met them in the past, but they were hidden. They close in on me. What do they want? I defend myself. They won't touch me, I promise myself as I lunge at them with my teeth bared. They jump back and laugh with delight, and we start chasing each other among the trees. Run with us, they say. And we run. Oh, I have no rage. 0 rage. And we hunt together, and there is joy. There are no words to describe the thrill of being part of a pack and closing in on your prey and tearing it apart. Then I get lost chasing something only because it's escaping. I am alone in the heart of the forest. I look up and see no moon, only clouds and tangled branches. Something changes. Back to person. Something changed, and I realized how tired I was. I stumbled. Darkness. Ooh! Oh my god. Nothing was okay. The night sky was full of stars. I opened my eyes. Confused, I opened my eyes. The forest around me was thick and dark. The tree trunks, wrapped tightly in dark-leaved ivy, were covered in ripples of lichen where the vines hadn't taken hold. The thorny, leafless bushes at their base were overrun with nettles. The fungi radiated with a ghoulish, sickly green light. Dark, sponge-like mushrooms clung to the fallen trees. Something was wrong. I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. I looked down and saw my hands covered in a dark substance. I was naked. This is exactly how it opened. A sticky, glistening film of liquid was clinging to my skin. I could feel it on my face, in my hair. Blood. Whose blood was this? Had I killed someone? I knew what was coming. I remembered my dream and slowly lifted my eyes. There was a severed head right in front of me. I felt sick. The face was contorted, the eyes bulging, the mouth open, the tongue stuck out. It was obscene. I doubled over, retching. I recognized that face. It was one of the hunters, the one that had tried to stop me. The head watched me with reproach. I cried. I felt tears running down my cheeks, and I let the sadness in. The bushes rustled, and a moment later I saw Olga coming out from between the trees. She looked at me, at the head, at my face. "Get used to it," she growled. "You're a werewolf." I looked at her. I blinked. Everything faded to black. Alrighty. That was pretty sweet. That was pretty sweet. Okay. So I'm going to actually end this here. I've been streaming for a little over 2 hours. And yeah, I think I'm good. I think I'm good where we're at. Hopefully I'll be able to save it right here at chapter 4 and it won't be anything else too much. So normally when I stream these new games, I stream them every day around the same time. Unfortunately, this week I have a little bit of a scheduling issue, so there will be no stream tomorrow, because I'm doing something special with some boys, and we haven't announced it yet, so I'm not going to say what it is. I don't know. So I'm doing something special with some boys tomorrow, and so the stream, but you will get a video on Wednesday, tomorrow. You will get a Werewolf the Apocalypse lore video about the litany, which will come tomorrow in replace of the stream. And then I will resume streaming on Thursday, just so you know. So yeah, I'm loving the game so far. I can't wait to explore more of Maia. I love the idea of the character sheet, which is probably my favorite thing about this game. It's something that should definitely be in future visual novels in the World of Darkness. And yeah, I'm just excited. I wanna stop the logging. I wanna find out more about the forest, find out more about Maia's backstory, and develop Maia's character more. This is great. For the very first Werewolf the Apocalypse release game, it's fantastic. I have nothing negative to say about it so far. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining me, for wooing with me, for going through the first change into our Krynos form, into becoming a werewolf. This has been great, and I will see everybody Thursday around 4:30 Central Eastern Standard Time, whatever time that is where you are. Thank you very much. Bye.